Hey everybody. So today we're going to take a look at Django Reinhardt's first chorus on minor swing, which is one of his most famous recordings and most famous solos. It's and it's a great solo. There's a lot, I like to say, there's a lot of meat on those bones. There's a lot of stuff that we could take away from this and apply to other songs. But first, let's start very first with the melody, which is super simple. The actual melody is just outlining the chords. A minor, D minor, E7, and then I play a 5, a E7 flat 9. And they do that twice. You could throw in a harmony part. Right? If you want, if you're fancy. And if you're playing with another player, each one of you could take a part. So that's basically the melody, as it were. And now the chord changes, all right? So the first chord is A minor. A few different ways to play this. Classic gypsy style would be an A minor 6 like this. And the A is here. If you got big hands, you can reach around and grab like that. But a lot of guys just play this. The 5th, the root, the flat 3rd, and the 6th. And then when we go to the D minor, basically shell voicing, doubling the 3rd in here. Then for the E7, play an E9 chord. Back to the A minor 6. To the D minor, and I'm playing here, D minor 11, back to the A minor, to the E7, back to the A minor. Maybe turn around with the E. So you don't have to play the A like that. You can play it like this, or like this, A minor 6 down here. Sharp 9, flat 9, make the A7, go into the D minor, and then you could fancy up the 5 chord by doing a 2-5, right? A minor 2-5 would be A, B half diminished, E7, back to the A minor. But instead of doing the B half diminished, a lot of times they'll do a flat 5 sub, which would be an F7 to the E, and then the turnaround, and that leads us up to this solo, because the solo actually starts with this, instead of this turnaround, this one. So it's a pickup. So that's that F9 to E9 dominant chords. And that's how the solo starts. 1, 2, pick up for 1. And now we're into the A minor, and he outlines the A minor. Now we go to D minor, he outlines a D minor 6. 5, 3, 1, 6. Now still on D, another D minor position up here in the 10th fret. And what's interesting here, he's playing the Dorian form, the B natural, and that can almost sort of like imply that D is, I don't know what that D is, but I know he plays it. And then maybe he's setting up that E7 because, the B natural in the E7. And then on the E7, he's doing the diminished thing. Now again, I know that you might think of this as a, I guess, an F diminished. To me, it's an E7 flat 9, right? That's E7 flat 9. It's the diminished, but then another E7 flat 9 starting on the third. Right? So that one, then another one, just starting in a different place. They're both diminished sounding. They're both on this chord. You know? And then we got to resolve to the A minor. So he goes just, needs notes. C, B, A. And then we come to rest there. Now we're going to go to the D minor. So when we go to the D minor, that's when we hit the D minor, is when we actually hit the D. And then he goes, So again, just hitting around that D and getting that D minor 6. Like that minor 6. Then interesting how he gets back to A minor. Right? So he goes around a D minor. Then A minor. And I think that he goes, right? And then right up to A minor arpeggio. And then the ending on the E7. Oh, I'm sorry. Right? So he's doing like all on an E7 chord. Then down to the 7th. Or which would be the sharp 5 or flat 13. And then the A minor arpeggio. So there's a lot of cool stuff there that you could take and use in any kind of solo. I mean, very nice. Very nice, going from here. And plus you get to see how much he's using triads all over the place, right? Minor, adding the 13. Diminished arpeggio, right? Little scale. More scale. Now another arpeggio. Another arpeggio. Always spelling out the harmony. And to me, that was the big takeaway with Django Reinhardt, was this whole thing of sort of even before bebop, the gypsies were really spelling out the harmony. Like, I can remember reading sort of like the swing players talking about the bebop players, especially Charlie Parker, and them saying, wow, Charlie Parker was the first guy. He played on all the chord changes. He was playing on each chord change. And that's what Django did, sort of predating that, or kind of maybe happening at the same time in the embryonic stage. But this whole idea of outlining chords, playing chord tones, arpeggios, and dressing them up, you can do a lot of stuff, and this is just all over the chords, which is very hip, So there you have it. That's the first chorus of Minor Swing. And again, what I suggest, of course, is that you first listen to the recording about 1 billion times, get it in your ear, and then try and play along with it. And then this first solo chorus here can give you ideas on fingerings, And these are just my fingerings. I don't think that there's a video of Django playing this, but I would also check out a lot of the great gypsy players and see how do they play this first chorus, because a lot of times they'll literally, play like an entire solo transcribed. But I just think eventually you got to develop your own sound, your own style, your own way of doing stuff. But these are one of the steps in doing that, is transcription and digesting what you transcribe, not just being like a puppet and being able to reproduce this, but to understand what is happening. Why, one of the big ones could be just that, like on a dominant seventh chord, to play diminished arpeggios, on a dominant seventh. That could be like a revelation, that you could maybe look at dominant seventh chords differently. That, oh, I see it's, this diminished chord is really a dominant seventh chord with the flat 9. That's that sound. And that could be a revelation for you. So then when you see a diminished chord, you maybe can relate it to some dominant seventh chord, which might make more sense to you in the chord progression. All right, so that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to put something in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And that's it, man. Straight ahead and strive for tone. All right, peace.